Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about how Kamala Harris, the vice president, now the presumptive Democratic nominee for president, replacing Joe Biden, has the opportunity to dramatically expand the support that she currently has in polls come election day. So what we see today in the Trump versus Harris matchup is that Donald Trump leads on average by 1.7%. Now, that does, of course, include Rasmussen, which is always an outlier, so take that into consideration also. But without Rasmussen, it's still somewhere around 1.2 or something like that, over a point. So, for Democrats to win the Electoral College, which is what matters, they do what this has been proven in recent presidential elections, but they do have to win the popular vote somewhere by around 2 points, probably 2 or more points. They could probably still win the Electoral College if they win the popular vote by 2. For example, in 2020, Joe Biden won the popular vote by somewhat 4.5%, and he won the Electoral College 303 to 232 for Trump. So, Biden was able to win the popular vote by a bit more than he needed, than the 2%, and he was able to come out with an Electoral College victory in the battleground states. Now, Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, won the popular vote by much less than Biden. I believe it was less than 2% in 2016, and she ended up losing the Electoral College. So the point is, if Trump is winning the popular vote, then Harris cannot win the election. If the election were held tomorrow and Trump did win the popular vote by 1.7%, Harris would lose. However, she is days into her campaign. She filed with the FEC to run for president yesterday. This is a whole new race, and Kamala Harris is an entirely new candidate that American voters really aren't all that familiar with it, at least compared to Joe Biden and Donald Trump. So Kamala Harris has work to do because, again, she can't lose the popular vote and win the Electoral College, win the presidency. However, she can make up this ground. I don't want to say easily, but she has a great opportunity to do so. And this comes, in stark contrast with what we were seeing towards the end of the Biden campaign, especially after the presidential debate. It really did look over. 1.7 for Trump is one thing, but 4.2% for Trump is another thing. Donald Trump led Joe Biden on the last day of Biden's campaign by 4.2%. Now, just for context, back in 2020, on this same day, July 27th in 2020, Biden led this same average of polls by 9.3. So Trump was doing some 13.5% better in 2024 than he was in 2020. Now, most notably, too, Biden was doing worse than Harris, but also, it's important to note how Biden was at his ceiling of support. It really didn't look like Joe Biden could gain much support, which is in contrast to Donald Trump. Americans, after seeing all of these clips for 4 years now of Joe Biden's presidency, Joe Biden had been defined. He had been defined as weak, on the world stage, senile, not competent for the job, and I really don't know if anything that the Biden campaign could have done between now and Election Day could have reversed that narrative, especially after that debate. The June 27th debate, which, is exactly 1 month ago today, was supposed to be the thing that reversed, American voters' narrative of Joe Biden that he was weak and incompetent. But it just strengthened those ideas, those notions. You all saw the debate. It was awful for Joe Biden. It was a complete disaster for Joe Biden, and he did not appear capable for the job. So it did the opposite. The debate is what eventually forced him out of the race, obviously. But the point is, I don't think that Joe Biden really, especially after that debate and with this narrative going on and the media turning on him especially, I believe he was at his ceiling of support. I don't think that he could have gained much support. Now, Kamala Harris, on the other hand, is a whole new candidate. She is far less known than Joe Biden, even in terms of have you heard of Kamala Harris before versus have you heard of Joe Biden before. Same goes for Donald Trump. She's much less known than Donald Trump, among those people who aren't as politically inclined. But also, more importantly and more prominently, Americans don't have a full opinion of her. They might have heard of her, of course, but they have heard mixed things about her, and they don't really know what to think of her yet. So Kamala Harris, has an opportunity to define herself before Donald Trump does. Define herself in the minds of American voters in a positive way, and of course the Trump campaign is trying to do exactly the opposite of that. So Kamala Harris has so much room to grow. And not only that, looking at her approval too, it has been effective. During Biden's whole presidency, she has been underwater. So much. Whoops. Okay, how do I get back? I don't know. But she has been so underwater. And let me just reload here because I want to get back to that main graph. But in these recent days, it's literally been days since she became the presumptive Democratic nominee for president, she has surged in popularity, and her unfavorability is dropping significantly. So, she is doing something right. She is, so far, whatever it may be, probably from social media in a significant portion, is now, making her seem favorable in the minds of American voters, which has not been the case for years. So she is doing something right, and if she goes on this path, then she is on track to win this election, to surge past Donald Trump in the polling numbers. And this is the nation as a whole, but there were polls conducted just yesterday in swing states and in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, or maybe not Arizona, but those three, and Nevada, I know. Kamala Harris was more favorable in the same poll than Donald Trump already, and she is days into her campaign. That was not the case some weeks ago, some days ago, like literally a week ago, last Saturday. That was not the case. Kamala Harris, I don't know how it happened, but she has become so much more popular. So she is already proving that there is time to grow. But there are even specific factors and specific events that could turn the tide of this election and really, increase Kamala Harris's support. One of them is the vice presidential selection. Looking at the bench of candidates that Kamala Harris has to choose from, she has her short lists, and of course the finalists. And what we see is a strong bench of Democrats that, are great picks. Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, he could help carry the state of Pennsylvania, but he is so charismatic, speaks like Obama. Pennsylvania absolutely loves him. His approval rating is through the roof, and Pennsylvania is a 50-50 Democrat-Republican state. He would be an insanely good pick. You got Mark Kelly, former astronaut, pretty well known really for even being an astronaut. He would be a fine pick. I'm not going to say he's the best. He definitely would not be one of the best, but he's still a solid pick. Roy Cooper, a more moderate governor, adds very much of a balance to the ticket, has lots of experience. Governor of North Carolina brings more of a rural appeal, I guess you could say. We got Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, a deep red state, voted for Trump by 26% in 2020. He is a unifier. He wouldn't have been able to win, as a Democrat in Kentucky if he wasn't a unity-type candidate. I won't go through these guys because they won't be picked. And then we got Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. Absolute fighter for the working class. Labor unions are pushing for him to be picked. He's a progressive. But really, not an AOC or Rashida Tlaib progressive. Progressive mainly when it comes to, of course, economic issues, and really a fighter for the working class. That's how he is positioning himself. And a great speaker, too. So you've got this vice presidential selection, all candidates, all of the actual realistic choices, which are Cooper, Kelly, Shapiro, Beshear, and Tim Walz, those are the only guys who have any possibility of being chosen. All of them add strength to the ticket, especially in contrast to J.D. Vance, who Donald Trump is deeply regretting choosing. He is so awkward. He has not been vetted properly. Old tweets are coming up, very controversial. He is the worst pick for VP, in recent history, in recent political history. Maybe you could say Dan Quayle was worse, but I would beg to differ. So all of these choices absolutely help the ticket, especially when you look at the electoral map. And then you've got the convention. So the convention, the DNC, will be held August like 20th or something like that, somewhere near there. And what history has proven is that even that, Americans tuning into this convention and hearing the candidates speak, even that boosts candidates' polling numbers. So in 2016, there were only literally a few days. Let's see, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 days in the Real Clear Politics average where Donald Trump led in the average. That was from July 25th to July 28th, right around this time in 2016. Now, what do we see? The RNC had been held from July 18th to the 21st, so it was right after the RNC, which was when Donald Trump, for the first time in 2016 or 2020, the only time Donald Trump led in the RCP average. So these conventions do matter, and the Republicans have had their convention. They won't get any boost now from that, while the Democrats have not. Kamala Harris still has room to grow on that. And then most importantly, the debates. Donald Trump is likely to debate Kamala Harris. I doubt he backs down because he never likes to appear weak with these sort of things. And now the campaign is saying that Trump won't debate until she is the official nominee, which is fine, right? I mean, most debates do usually happen after the elections after the convention, in normal elections. The June 27th debate, Biden versus Trump, that was a complete oddity. But, it makes sense that he would, she will be the nominee, but this campaign says that they don't want to debate until she is the confirmed nominee. Now, Jason Miller, who is very involved in the Trump campaign, says that he will debate, and it does appear very likely that Trump will debate Harris. Harris absolutely wants to. So, just putting this out there, I believe this is pure speculation, but I would place my bet on Harris absolutely destroying Trump, wiping the floor, ripping him apart in a debate. If you look at the transcript of the Biden versus Trump June 27th CNN debate, you would think that it was about a draw when it comes to who did better, Biden versus Trump. If you were watching the debate, obviously Trump won because Biden was just so out of it and he couldn't get his sentences through. But what Donald Trump was actually saying made absolutely zero sense either. He just goes off on some rant and gets so sidetracked from the conversation, and you just start, not following what he's saying. Remember, when asked about the environment, he said, we had H2O under my presidency. What does that even mean? Now, Kamala Harris, obviously, in stark contrast to both Biden and Trump, is much younger. She's 59 years old, and, much better put together. She, is actually competent, and she can speak well. I don't even think it's a question. I believe that Kamala Harris would wipe the floor in a debate with Donald Trump. She would certainly get a huge boost from that, I believe. And yeah, there are many factors that go into this election, and all of them help Kamala Harris. Now, on that debate note, also remember, there's a VP debate. J.D. Vance is going to debate, whoever it may be. Roy Cooper, Mark Kelly, Shapiro, Bashir, or Tim Walz. All of them would destroy J.D. Vance. watch the 2022 Ohio Senate race debate, J.D. Vance versus Tim Ryan. J.D. Vance is not good on a debate stage. He is so awkward. All of these men who are very experienced, maybe I guess not Shapiro, but all the rest are very experienced in the political world. But I mean, Shapiro is great at speaking, so it doesn't matter either. But all of them, I believe, would also destroy J.D. Vance in a debate. So I can guarantee you Kamala Harris will rise. She will go up and up and up. I believe she will win this election. I want my prediction to come out today, if not tomorrow. But thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. It helps a lot. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, and we are moving up quick in this election season. We are skyrocketing in terms of subscribers. So again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.